Hello everybody and welcome back to another Doctor Who product review. In today's review we've got a very exciting product indeed, as I'm going to be taking a look at the Doctor Who Warriors of the Deep collector set, featuring 3 Silurians from the 5th Doctor 1984 story. This collector set is available to order now from the Character Options website exclusively and is limited edition to 5,000 units, and of course is a very bold and brand new collector set to add to the classic series collection. The recommended retail is £29.99. The packaging for the Warriors of the Deep collector set is ever so slightly more experimental compared to that of the B&M exclusive series. Due to this set being sold exclusively online, we don't need to worry about retail space or anything like that, therefore the box is ever so slightly larger. Larger packaging allows for the Silurians on the inside of the box to be displayed at various different angles, giving a good look at the new sculpt. The rest of the box contains exactly the same style guide to usual. At the top of the box, the stacked variation of the Doctor Who logo, some Gallifreyan text and the stylish TARDIS graphic. In keeping with the style of the Jungles of Mechanus and Abominable Snowmen collector sets, there is also a unique sticker stating that this is a Character Options online exclusive, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of these in the future. And at the bottom we have the title of the set stating that this is from 1984 within the 5th Doctor era. The side of the box has the usual continuation of the style guide as well as a promotional image of the Silurians. And the opposite side features the usual TARDIS graphic as well as stating that this set includes the Silurians known as Iktar, Tarpok and Skibbus. The base of the box features the usual company information. Flipping around finally to the back of the box, we are greeted by lots of informational text, including a story synopsis for Warriors of the Deep, as well as some behind the scenes for the story itself and Season 21, and even a little bit of a character description about the Silurians. This is really aiming this collector set towards the collectors. Upon opening the box, we are greeted by this rather excellent diorama, complete even with little viewing windows. Looking through one of them, you can even see the sea base from the story itself via a screen grab. I really do love little display dioramas like this because they don't necessarily need to be done. This set could have very easily been just a regular white background, much like the old days of the B&M exclusive series. However, no, they've gone above and beyond to create something that's exciting and great to display the figures within. So here we have Iktar, Tarpok and Skibbus out of the box, and don't they look absolutely excellent. Now for those of you that watch the Host Productions on a regular basis, you will know that over the past few years I've done a series called Doctor Who The Classic Series Action Figures A History, taking a look at every single Doctor Who Classic Series action figure released by Character Options in chronological order, including the heydays within the line as well as the quiet lows. And I think it is fair to say that without a doubt I was not expecting to see the Classic Series Silurians released anytime soon, or at all in the future for that matter. These figures are ones that I would have expected to see in the very heyday of the Forbidden Planet exclusive series. Now, aside from the odd ever so slight difference in wash, all 3 Silurians within this set are basically exactly the same, with the exception of one difference, and that is of course the central Silurian does have a red light at the very top of its head, and then the other 2 Silurians have a black light. And this is to basically signify what Silurian is talking within the story itself, so it's a very small subtle difference, however nice nevertheless. I know that a few have raised questions about the recommended retail price of this set. To be quite honest, I think that it is a fairly justified price, especially given the amount of tweaks and new sculpting which has gone into creating these action figures that we've wanted for many, many years. But also at the same time, the triple packs released as a part of the B&M exclusive series are £19.99 recommended retail, and those feature rather minor tweaks. These feature brand new head sculpts, brand new body parts, to the extent where this figure is mostly new rather than reuse. So let's take a look at how this figure has been constructed. I must admit, when it was initially announced, I was A, surprised, and B, thought that this was a 100% brand new sculpt, so the sculpting reuse is indeed very clever. The entire leg of this Silurian figure is in fact the exact opposite of brand new. It is one of the oldest sculpts existing within the Character Options Classic Series line, as this was initially used on the Sea Devil as released as a part of the first ever wave. Sadly, I can't compare them side by side because I'm currently at university. However, this is a really clever reuse of sculpt. Of course, we have a rather significant colour difference. It's now that orangey brown colour, which very much looks the part actually of the costume of the 80s Silurian. And then the other reuse is the top half of the Silurian arm. On the bottom half we do have a brand new sculpt to kind of make it look a bit more Silurian-esque in design, but again this is a really effective reuse. See, this is the beauty of figure reviewing. You get to see all of the really flattering angles. Taking a closer look at the Silurian leg, as you can see, this isn't just a simple plain design. There is lots of smaller intricate details on this. To start with, we have that speckled effect which has been applied in texture across the entirety of the Silurian leg, and this extends onto the arms and the head as well. As we tilt around to the back, rather unusually on Doctor Who action figures actually, we have a slightly darker wash which has been applied. Usually most of the detail is around the front. Since the last shot, I have switched over with the Silurians, so you may be able to tell ever so slightly that the wash does vary in between the different Silurians, which is a nice touch. Moving down to the very bottom of the figure, we have the Silurian's feet. These have required a brand new sculpt because the base is of course the Sea Devil, and they have the rather iconic flipper feet. This is a much more humanoid design, although at the very top we do have the lovely inclusion of a bit of reptilian texturing, and then we also have a dark wash applied to the top of this. Moving up to the torso of the figure now, of course this is quite obviously a brand new sculpt and is one of the rather eye-catching aspects of this costume. I think it is certainly one of the more unique components when comparing to the other versions of the Silurians that we've seen within Doctor Who, especially when you compare it to the new series design. And then of course the original Silurian was generally a bit more uniform, I think, all the way throughout the costume. This is almost like a turtle shell in a way. I must admit this part of the figure was indeed something which did worry me when this set was initially announced, because I had a fear that this set, upon arrival, we would take it out of the box and this mid-torso section would be hollow, and as a result it would make the figure feel incredibly cheap and lightweight, but I'm happy to report it is actually considerably solid. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that this new torso piece is the most exciting brand new sculpt in the world. It really isn't. If anything, it is considerably basic. Basically have these raised up sections in the very middle, and this also connects to some raised up pieces at the bottom and top, which I suppose do look a lot like the costume as seen within the story. From a paint application perspective, we do have a very subtle paint app which has been used. Of course, the base colour is a lighter, almost fudgy brown, and then we have a light wash which has been applied over the top, almost like a cream/white, just to give a little bit of texturing. Really nothing too much whatsoever. To be honest, in this light, it doesn't really pick up, and then the same can be said for the other Silurians as well. Again, the paint application may ever so slightly vary between the different figures within the set, but there really isn't too much to talk about. This one might look ever so slightly darker actually, but again, there really isn't too much in it. Flipping around to the back, of course we have the continuation of that fudge-like design. Of course, from a TV perspective, this is a really effective design choice. It kind of reminds us that the Silurians are around at the same time as the dinosaurs, although this is a separate piece, so you do have a little bit of a gap in between. You can obviously tell that this is a separate sculpt, although I don't mind too much. And again, a light wash has been applied over the top of the darker colour to kind of make it in keep with the rest of the costume. Colouring of the torso section is very different to the rest of the Silurian. It is a bit inconsistent, but that said, it was like that on TV, so in a sense it's very effective and very nice to see replicated within action figure form. As for the rest of the arms, these basically return to the same detailing which has been used on the legs. So we have a darker wash which has been brushed over the top of the figure to really bring out those smaller intricate details. As for the lower half of the Silurian arm, as I mentioned earlier, this is a brand new sculpt, so as a result it does feature a few ripples within it to kind of replicate the appearance of the costume within the story, which is great. And I also love the added attention to detail to even include the texturing to make the costume overall look a bit more reptilian. All three Silurians within this collector set do have a communicator band sculpted to the other arm, especially given that the rest of the Silurian is a light brown. The communicator band really does stand out quite a lot. A lovely darker charcoal grey has been used on this, with a lighter wash applied over the top. finish and intricate detail of the green screen. Really nice and very precise. All three of the Silurians do come packaged with the same sculpt of hand. This is a brand new sculpt, the first of which has a pointy finger. Again, this is the same lighter brown to the rest of the body, and then we have a darker wash applied over the top to give that lovely textured effect, and the wash does vary between the different Silurians. Flipping it around, you do have some further detailing on the inside of the palm, although nothing too much to talk about. And pretty much exactly the same detailing on the other hand. This time it has been sculpted in an open palm position. I don't really tend to cover articulation because personally I find it a little bit boring. However, one thing to note and one thing I like is the fact that we have ball jointed arms. That does aid posability ever so slightly, but sadly we do not have upper arm articulation due to this being one of the older sculpts from 2007, 2008, quite a long time ago to say the least. The head sculpts for this new Silurian is nothing short of incredible, to be quite honest. I think this is an absolutely superb sculpt with so many intricate details, and as I mentioned at the very start of this review, it would not look out of place as a part of the heyday within the Forbidden Planet exclusive series. Firstly, we have what I call the central Silurian, the leader I suppose, because we have the red light there at the very top. And then we have the other two Silurians with the black light because they're not speaking, so they're kind of the two that lurk in the background with nothing too much to say. Very much like the rest of the body, the wash which has been applied to the head sculpt does vary between the different Silurians within the set, although the main detailing and colour palette does remain the same. The head sculpt features so many small details which really bring the figure to life. Each part of the head seems to feature different textures replicating the reptilian skin. The neck has this impressively precise stippled design, whilst the cheeks almost look like cracked porcelain or fish scales. The eyes are picked out with a striking silver paint application, surrounded by creased skin. The new series Silurians do definitely play on that more humanoid design. The classic version, however, is more obviously a mask, but if anything, I actually think that it works more effectively within action figure form compared to what we got to see in reality. Each angle reveals a new small detail, or oddly slightly makes the expression look a little bit different. The mouth is very odd and beak-like, however the mask was like that within the story itself. He kind of constantly looks a bit surprised. The ears and the back of the head contain so many levels of swirls and scales. The amount of dark wash varies in particular around this section, and visually is different between each Silurian within this set. The silver paint wash is something that I didn't think would work, but actually in person it kind of does. The light at the top of the head, albeit black or red, are both painted sharply and in keep within the lines. Character have done a great job with head sculpts in recent years, and I think that what works so well with this sculpt in particular is that it's not drowned out by paint. The wash on the top of the plastic is minimal, allowing us to see each sculpt texture. I'd love to see them tackle the original 70s Silurian design in a rather similar way to this release, featuring a new head sculpt, arms and torso. Excitingly, it does also extend the possibilities for other classic series monsters as well, in particular those monsters which tend to just be actors in big rubber suits. So in summary, for the Doctor Who Warriors of the Deep collector set, limited edition to 5,000 units, exclusive to the Character Options website, this is an absolute joy to add to the Doctor Who Classic Series action figure collection, and after all of these years, it is very exciting to add some Classic Series monsters to the shelf, and the Silurians as well, a figure that I never thought we would see. Of course, the B&M exclusive line has got more experimental in recent years, featuring new head sculpts and new retooling when it's come to pre-existing figures. However, this pushes the boat out even further. We not only get a new head sculpt, but we also get new arms, new feet, as well as a whole new torso section. It certainly opens up the possibilities of new action figures in the future, but not only that, it is great to be able to add a new 80s monster to the shelf as well. Overall, from a production perspective, the head sculpt is wonderful, it is incredibly detailed, and overall most certainly looks the part, and the same can be said for the rest of the figure as well. It may have been nice to have an ever so slightly more visible wash difference between the different Silurians, just for the sake of variety, maybe bringing out some of those details a bit more, making one of them perhaps darker than the others or lighter than the others, something like that. But to be honest, I really can't complain. All three of these figures are excellent, and without a doubt I most certainly recommend picking up this collector set whilst you still can before it sells out. So thank you very much for watching this review on The Host Productions. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do of course stay tuned for more Doctor Who content from Big Finish reviews, product reviews, and of course much more. On that note, have a nice day. I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.